Only the rhythmic drip, drip, drip of water could break the silence in the dimly lit cell. Moonlight sliced a thin line across the rough stone floor, illuminating a figure hunched over a pile of books. His calloused fingers traced the faded ink, a plan forming in his mind, a plan that could rewrite his destiny. The walls had been his sole acquaintances for a number of years, and the iron bars had been his only potential horizon. Despite this, a fire blazed brightly inside the limits of his jail. It was the unquenchable hunger for freedom they had. In the evening, that fire would be stoked to the point of a conflagration. Did he ultimately manage to get away on this particular evening? Alfred Hinds, commonly known as Alfie Hines or the King of the Escape Artists, was a dangerous British robber who escaped from prison many times around the middle of the 20th century. He was also known and referred to by these other names. Throughout his journey, there is a never-ending battle of wills with the authorities, as well as a lot of mystery and courage. In 1920, Hines was born in London, and he was raised in a household that belonged to the working class. His childhood was not easy for him. When he was young, he began breaching the law by stealing little items and breaking into houses. He also broke into private residences. As he grew older, his bad behavior became even more severe, and he began to conduct more serious crimes, such as armed robbery. Hines rose to fame as a result of his ability to deceive law enforcement and corrections officers. He had a high level of intelligence and was naturally skilled at plotting and carrying out escapes. It was in 1953 that he managed to escape from Bedford prison by concealing a razor blade inside of a bottle of toothpaste. It was his very first significant escape. As a result of his daring escape, he became renowned as one of the most difficult to catch criminals in Britain. People were surprised by his daring escape. Over the course of the following several years, Hinds would escape from prison on many occasions, each time using a unique set of strategies and disguises. In several instances, he meticulously planned his escapes by analyzing the layout of the prison and taking advantage of any security flaws that were there. At one point, he dressed himself in clothing that gave the impression that he was a laborer and then just strolled out of the prison gates. In a separate attempt to escape, he climbed over the walls of the prison by using grappling hooks that he had constructed himself. A number of individuals saw Hines as a folk hero due to the fact that he was courageous and innovative. Despite this, he continued to run afoul of the law for his criminal activities, and he spent a significant portion of his life incarcerated and released from prison. Even though Hines was good at getting away, he was caught every time. The police would use the newest technology and other tools they had access to start large-scale manhunts to find him. In some cases, he was caught after only a few days on the run. In others, it took weeks or even months to catch him. Hines was caught in Dublin, Ireland in 1959 after being on the run for several months. This was one of the most exciting catches for him. Based on a tip, the Irish police broke into the house where Hinds was hidden and quickly caught him. People all over the UK and Ireland read about his arrest in the news, and he was then sent back to England to serve his term. Even though Hines tried many times to get away, he couldn't always avoid punishment. After finishing his time for armed robbery, he was finally let out of jail in 1966. At this point, he was pretty well known and had become something of a hero in the crime underworld. After he got out of jail, Hinds tried to live a quieter life and stay out of trouble with the state, but he kept getting attention from the media, who were interested in his crazy past and bold actions. Before he died in 1991, he was known as one of Britain's most infamous and difficult-to-catch crooks. Alfred Hinds' story leaves us with more questions than answers. Was he a criminal mastermind or a misunderstood genius? The answer, like the man himself, remains a puzzle. But one thing is certain: Alfred Hinds defied expectations and left an undeniable mark on history. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of incredible escapes and unsolved mysteries. Prisons with a bad name, unbreakable safety. In the eyes of Pascal Payet, They were just invites. The bright lights of Fortaleza prison cut through the hot night in Brazil, looking for even the tiniest sign of life. Inside, there was a single empty cell gap. Not a single bar was broken or a hole dug through the ground. Pascal Payet, who was known as the Houdini of roaders, was no longer visible. Pascal Payet, whose name is linked to daring prison escapes, amazed the world with his daring chopper jailbreaks. Payet was born in France on July 27, 1963. His life took a dramatic turn when he got involved in crime and ended up going to jail several times. He became famous and will go down in crime history for how cleverly he got away from the police. In the late 1980s, Payet got in trouble with the law for the first time when he was caught armed robbery. Even though Payet was in jail for his crimes, it was soon clear that he liked to avoid paying his fines. In 2001, he got out of the French jail in Loins with a helicopter for the first time. Payet planned a dramatic escape with the help of armed allies. He and 2 other prisoners were freed by hijacking a chopper. The police were shocked and amazed by Payet's daring escape, which caught the public's attention. The carefully planned operation showed how clever Payet was and how determined he was to avoid being caught at all costs. He was free for a short time, but a few months later, he was caught in Spain and sent back to France. Payet wasn't stopped, even though he went back to jail. Another helicopter escaped from prison in 2003, this time from the Grassy prison in the southeast of France, made the news. Along with 2 armed helpers, Payet took over a chopper and flew over the jail walls to free himself and 3 other prisoners. Payet's deft escape caught the authorities off guard, which sparked a massive nationwide search. Payet's skill at avoiding capture made him famous as a master escape artist. The people and law enforcement officers alike were amazed and speculated about what he did. Payet finally ran out of luck though, and was caught again in Spain. He was then sent back to France. Payet didn't give up on his search for freedom, even though he had to deal with strict security measures. In 2007, he planned yet another helicopter escape, this time from the 2nd cell at Grassy prison. Payet and his friends took over a chopper and flew into safety, which was a bold escape that was similar to other things he had done. Because Payet's escapes were so brazen, they made people seriously question the security measures in French jails. Critics said that the repeated events showed that there were problems with the jail system as a whole, and that it needed major changes to stop future escapes. After his 3rd chopper escape, Payet ran away and was not caught for several months. His skill at avoiding capture by police made him even more mysterious, making him one of the most infamous crooks in modern French history. Finally, Payet's time on the run came to an end when he was caught in Spain in 2007. Payet was sent back to France to face justice for his crimes, even though he tried many times to avoid being caught. People, including directors and writers, became very interested in Pascal Payet's chopper rescue stories in the years that followed. His bold adventures were told in books, movies, and films, which made people all over the world curious and fascinated. But Payet's impact is still controversial. Some see him as the genius behind many crimes, while others see him as a dangerous criminal whose actions put lives at risk and hurt the rule of law. No matter what point of view you have, Pascal Payet's helicopter rescue experiences will always be interesting and captivating. So, was Pascal Payet a cunning escape artist or a reckless thrill-seeker? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between, but one thing's for sure, his helicopter jailbreaks will continue to captivate audiences for years to come. The flickering fluorescent light cast an unsettling glow on the polished steel bars. John Dillinger, notorious bank robber and FBI's public enemy #1, tapped his foot impatiently. This wasn't just any jail. This was Crown Point, Indiana's escape-proof penitentiary. A cruel joke, some might say, but Dillinger wasn't known for his sense of humor. He had a plan, a daring, unbelievable plan, whispered in hushed tones between clinking cell bars. John Dillinger, one of the most famous bank robbers in American history, became a legend during the Great Depression. Through his bold heists, brave escapes, and final death, he became a sign of the chaos and hopelessness of the time. Dillinger was born in Indianapolis, Indiana on June 22, 1903. He grew up in a simple home. His childhood wasn't very interesting, but he quickly became interested in a life of crime. He started a string of small thefts and holdups that turned into bank robberies in the end. Because he was charming, smart, and sneaky, Dillinger was a dangerous criminal who quickly became famous all over the country. Dillinger's skill to constantly get away from police was one of the most interesting things about his crime career. His escape routes were always clear, even when he was caught more than once. He got away from the police for the first time when he was caught robbing an Ohio bank in 1933. The escape was carefully planned and carried out with great care. Along with his gang, Dillinger was able to sneak in guns and tools that helped them beat the guards and escape their cells. The idea was to use homemade guns to take over the jail while confusing the guards. Once Dillinger and his friends were free, they quickly ran away, leaving the police confused and unable to react. The people were shocked and amazed when Dillinger got out of Crown Point jail. Newspapers all over the country made the bold release into a big story, painting Dillinger as a sneaky and clever criminal genius. The police were under a lot of scrutiny because they didn't do anything to stop such a bold escape, which made it more important to catch Dillinger and his gang. This daring escape made Dillinger famous all over the country and gave him the name Public Enemy #1. For another year, he kept up his crime run, robbing banks and avoiding police capture. He finally ran out of luck, though, when he was caught in Tucson, Arizona, in January 1934. Dillinger was sent back to Indiana to be charged with his past crimes, but he again managed to get away from his guards. He got out of Crown Point jail on March 3, 1934, by carving a fake gun out of wood and making a bunch of fake keys. This escape, which was shown in newsreels and newspapers all over the country, made Dillinger even more famous as a master of lying and getting away with things. Even though Dillinger was able to avoid being caught, his luck finally ran out. The FBI, with Director Edgar Hoover in charge, began a massive search to catch him. To keep track of him, they used the newest investigative methods and tools like fingerprint analysis and wiretapping. In July 1934, Dillinger was betrayed by Anna Sage, a longtime partner, who told the police where he was. On the evening of July 22, FBI agents circled Dillinger as he left Chicago's Biograph Theater after seeing the show with Sage and another friend. To try to get away as quickly as possible, Dillinger reached for a gun, but the agents shot him multiple times and killed him. John Dillinger was a complex figure, a man of contradictions. He was both ruthless and charismatic, charming and dangerous. He was a product of his time, a victim of the harsh realities of the Great Depression. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying that John Dillinger was one of the most fascinating and notorious figures in American history. His story is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the allure of easy money.